Tales from the Tavern was recorded in front of a live Twitch audience.
I'm Commander Shepard, and Tales from the Tavern is my favorite stream on Twitch.
Hello, everybody. We are back with another episode of Tales from the Tavern. I have a fantastic crew here with me today. I'm very excited. A whole group of returning guests, and that's always fun because it's always nice to hear what everybody's been up to since the last time they came. So we're going to start right in with going around and having everybody introduce themselves and tell us a little about who you are and what you've been up to and where people can find you on social media and all that good stuff. And then we'll go over some introductions and things like that. I mean, some announcements and things like that. So, Robbie, we're going to start with you.
Oh, boy.
Oh, boy.
Hi, everybody. I'm Robbie Weiss. I am, at this point, just a friend of the community at this point, but I have a podcast called The Dungeon Initiative. We aren't really recording anymore, but it's still up and around, so you're welcome to go out there and check it out. But I've just been up to playing games and life and stuff.
Shenanigans.
Chicanery. So many shenanigans.
And you build a lot of, like, props and stuff, right?
I haven't in a while, but that's mostly because of my living situation changing. But yes, I do.
Yes.
Yes, there's one here that you can't really see. Maybe I'll grab some more after the break.
Awesome. Well, thanks for coming back and hanging out. It's always good to see you.
I am glad to be back. It's been way too long since I've been able to talk nerdy stuff with a bunch of other nerds.
I know. I'm excited. Ray, tell us a little about you.
It's me, Ray, right?
You, Ray. Yes.
Okay, cool. Hi, I'm Ray. Yeah, I know it's spelled wrong, but that's how you say it, so that is my name. I'm Ray. I am also just generally a shenanigans maker, mostly on Discord. You can find me in a lot of different Discords making a lot of trouble, usually with Princess attached to my name somewhere. I'm a moderator for the Dice Populi Discord, and I am also just generally in a lot of other places, but I'm also going to be starting I'm going to be in a group that's going to be starting to stream a Shadowrun game in a couple of weeks on Full Round Action Gaming on Twitch, so you can check us out on Monday nights. I haven't played Shadowrun before, so this is going to be really fun, because I never seem to play a role-playing game that I've played before. I always get to just start in fresh and brand new. But I'm really excited about it. It's going to be great. And I'm really excited to be here, too, because I, too, just like to talk with my fellow nerds.
Awesome. Yeah, I'm going to be excited to hear how that goes, because I also have never played Shadowrun, so yeah. And I jump into a lot of, like, one-shots of systems that I know nothing about. I literally do that to myself all the time. So
this is definitely going to be a different experience. I've been, like, watching YouTube channels because this is just a totally different gaming system. But the math is so much simpler. I'm excited. Simple math.
Yay, simple math. Awesome. Well, welcome back. It's a pleasure to see you. Julian.
Yes! Hi, I am Julian. I am the host, bard, and happiness sorcerer of Everyday Superhero Cast. I'm also the creator of Mission Quest, the exercise-infused TTRPG. And I'm so excited to talk about things that are nerdy and TTRPG-based because that's my favorite hobby.
Yay. And I just was lucky enough to be a guest on Julian's stream / podcast. So
Yeah!
that was fun. We talked nerdy for like 2 hours. It was great.
Yeah, it was great. It was awesome.
Yep. Yeah. Good times. Good times. Well, thank you for coming back on and hanging out. It's always nice to see you.
Yay.
Ray.
Hi, hello, I'm Ray with a Y. That's going to have to be the defining feature at this point. It's yeah, I do stuff in the TTRPG sphere. I'm a professional GM and content creator. You'll probably see me either behind the scenes or on screen with Friends Who Roll Dice, a group that I co-founded with a bunch of awesome people where we raise a whole bunch of money for charity and play some cool games.
Yeah, awesome. It's always great to see you. It's been a long time since I've gotten to chat with you, so I'm happy to have you back on again.
I'm really bad at both, like, social media and just generally remembering to communicate. Because I'm kind of like a baby in the sense that, like, as soon as something leaves my general vision, it's gone.
Yeah.
And I can't, no understanding of space.
Yeah, it's all good. It's all good. Well, welcome back. And Staghorn, a pleasure to see you.
A pleasure to be here. It's always a pleasure to be here. My name is Staghorn. I also go by David Hallman. I am the Fungin Master for Good Better Quest. It is an actual play D&D 5e podcast. It's real fun. I like it. Check us out wherever you get your podcasts. And then I also stream here on Twitch at just stag_horn, I believe. Come watch me paint some minis.
Yay! Chat's already saying what? No plate armor tonight?
After the break, I absolutely can. I forgot that was a thing I did. No, you've called my bluff. You've called it now.
It's true. One of my moderators called you out. So
yeah.
Yeah.
I have yellow gloves ready if we need them.
Oh, good.
Okay, I do want to take a small moment and say Peachy Keen is my wife. Strolling me in here.
Yeah, where's the gauntlets?
How dare you?
Called out. Oh my gosh.
Called out.
Oh, no.
Wow, chat is like starting right off. Oh my goodness. Oh, I love it. All right. Well, if you are joining us for the very first time, let me tell you a little about how this stream works. So basically, the way that this works is we take all of our questions from chat. So if you would like to ask a question of our panel, awesome. Just go ahead and drop that right in the chat. We have moderators that will make sure that the questions all get fed to us so that we can have some conversation around whatever it is that you have asked us. And if you've been around for a little while and you've got some channel points racked up, feel free to look in the channel points section for the Ask My Question Next feature. That will bump your question up to the next one in the queue. So if you are concerned about maybe you have to duck out before the break or something like that and you want to make sure that we have time to answer your question, you can go ahead and use that, and that will bump your question up to the very next one that we talk about. So that's available to you as well. Also, my cat would very much like to remind you that there is a Treats for Kitties option in the channel points as well. Just saying.
That's awesome.
So, she's already come up on the bed looking for them twice, and from the bed to my desk looking for them twice. And so, oh, there you go, Molly. Come here. Don't. She just jumped off the desk. She was looking very disappointed a second ago.
I was not aware that was an option.
That is an option.
Immediately.
Oh, she heard the bag. Here she comes. Here she comes. All right, come on. Here you go.
No?
Yeah, come on. Come say hi so everybody can see you. She's like right underneath my microphone, but she's here. You'll see her in a second. Yeah, you'll see her in a second. Okay, so let's dive right in. We don't have any questions from chat yet, so I am going to start the ball rolling with my favorite thing to ask people when they come on this show, and that is when you are playing at a physical table with actual dice, do your dice have to match?
Yes, until they fail me.
Oh yeah?
Yeah. I pick out one matching set, and then I have backups for each individual die that I need for that day in case that one fails.
They don't have to. It's nice. It's nice when they do. Like I actually have a thing right here. Like I have one matching set nearby at all times. But the first set of dice that I actually had that was just mine was just all hodgepodge, just random stuff that I got actually at a game store in the Texas Renaissance Fair.
Oh wow.
Yeah. So, yeah.
Yeah, I was just thinking about that. Like, it depends on what you mean by matching, because, like, most of my dice I've gotten from cities. When I've visited cities, I've tried to find a game store, or they've been gifts. But my first set of dice that I got was actually from, like, a big, like, this game store in New York City, and they're all different. I, like, picked them all out of a tray. And so, like, they're the same set.
So it's
But
intentional
they don't-
random.
They don't look the same. But
Technically.
also, depending on what game I'm playing, like, I always have more of certain kinds of dice. So if I'm, like, let's say I'm playing D&D, I have, like, 3 D20s. Because I'm going to need 3 D20s, right? Because eventually one of them is going to stop working really well, and I'm going to need a second one.
Yep.
See, I'm the person who all of my dice have to match, and if my D20 misbehaves, the whole set gets taken out and a whole new string comes in.
Oh, I'm the opposite. Embrace chaos.
Oh,
Have
no.
just the whole thing. Just whatever dice calls to you at that moment, grab it. Doesn't matter what the color is, and it annoys my players to hell.
I love it.
That's just fuel for the fire. Fuel for the fire.
I think my dice all right now are living in a box, like, just all mixed together.
Oh my god.
Like Legos.
And it, like, hurts me.
Yeah.
All of my dice, people who watch the stream regularly know that all of my dice are not only separated out by the set, but none of the sets are together in the same, like,
Vessel.
anything. Like, nothing. Not a single one of them. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 full sets immediately in front of me on my desk. And they are all in separate, like, either boxes or bags or some type of dice holder. And then I've got, like,
mine are-
another 3 sets in one drawer and, like, 4 more back here, and they're all in their own container.
Yeah, mine are more or less in the same boat, but I'm one of those people that, like, I prefer that they match to start with, and then I will almost only sub out my D20. I mean, granted, that's the one that I
Fair.
use most often,
Because that's, yeah.
but like, if I have a whole set and I'm like, ooh, I just got this new D20 that I really, really want to use, I'll use, like, my favorite set minus the D20 plus the new D20.
I had a D20 that somebody gave me for Christmas. Like, the first group of people that I played Dungeons and Dragons with, one of the players gave us for Christmas. And the 20 says yeah, and the 0 says fuck.
The ones I use at my computer, I actually got from David Tilstra.
Oh, cool.
So they're the ones that are a matching set, and they're the ones I always start off with because they matched.
I got a set from David Tilstra too, except for that I won them from a giveaway on their channel, and they're a regular set, but then there's also a chunky D20.
Donkey.
Yep.
You
So-
gots to have a chonky one.
It's the only chonk D20 I have, and I love it. It's very.
I don't
cool.
have it. I don't have a set from David Tilster, but I made him a set. Does that
Oh,
count?
well, that's one way to do it.
Yeah.
I would just like to point out to chat that the line of dots was Molly saying hi because she was sitting on my keyboard. So there you go.
Fantastic.
All right, we got a couple of questions that came in from chat. So the first one comes from Jason, and Jason would like to know, what is the first adventure module you played or GM'd?
First one I played was Tyranny of Dragons. It was great. It was just so great. It was my brother-in-law DMing it, and it was amazing. He is the best DM I've ever played with,
Aw.
and I will never be a student.
I have only ever actually DM'd one sort of. It's kind of an adventure module, sort of. So at a local game store in Kalamazoo, they had this. Oh, what did they call it? I wish I could remember the name because I think you can buy them online. But it's a tabletop. This was a physical tabletop map that, as you progressed through the adventure, you rolled it a little bit, and it was like this scroll that just kept going. And I can't remember the name of it. I'll have to find it if I can. But that's the only adventure that I've ever DM'd that was like written or anything. I've never even played a module, and I own like a ton of them.
I've never played a module. The first adventure I ever played was a homebrew D&D 5e campaign. And the first thing I DM'd was a game of Dread.
Oh, yep.
And then it's been a mismatch ever since.
My first, 10 years of playing TTRPGs were all homebrew. So,
Yeah.
I didn't play an adventure path up until I played the Pathfinder First Edition Rise of the Rune Lords starting in 2019. So,
Nice.
I had to Google the name of my first one because I couldn't remember.
Oh, that's a
I
good
couldn't
idea.
remember what it was called. It's older than I am, so it is Crystal Spheres, the 1990 adventure module supplement that came out for Spelljammer. That is the first thing that I ever DM'd. Spelljammer was the first TTRPG I ever played, and I was in the GM seat. So,
nice.
talk about being thrown into the deep end in 2E in Spelljammer as a GM. But yeah, it was Crystal Spheres, which is a scenario where your player characters are on a Spelljammer called the Hummingbird, and its captain basically eventually kind of asks the party, like, hey, I know you're traveling, but my planet's dying, my planet's in danger, and this has all been kind of a front to get adventurers to come and save my planet from an evil bard, so if you could do that, that'd be great.
That'd be
Thanks.
super cool.
If you could.
Evil bard.
Yes, an evil bard called Talan, I think was his name.
Interesting. That actually sounds kind of fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've had opportunities to play adventures, but those are the ones that always seem to fall through. Apparently, I've never had the group all be able to meet, or someone finds out that the DM is actually a horrible person, so we all quit. There's never been the homebrew ones have been the ones that seem to last.
First one that I DM'd was a homebrew that I made. It was an adventure I made, and it was a Alice in Wonderland adventure. And I actually ran it twice. I ran it with two different groups because it was supposed to be a one shot. It's a two shot. It's a two shot. And it actually it came out pretty well, like surprisingly for somebody who had no idea what they were doing.
Yay!
Yeah, that was really fun for me. The first game that I played was called Expedition to Something with a D that I couldn't pronounce then. I definitely can't
Detroit.
pronounce now. It was not. Yeah, no, I can't.
Give me a
pronounce
couple
that either.
hours, I'll be there.
I don't know if the DM made it up or not, because I didn't know anything about Dungeons and Dragons. I just really wanted to play, and this group of people at my job, like, I was working in retail at the time, and they like cornered me, and they were like, "We heard you really want to play Dungeons and Dragons, and we have a secret game going, but you can't tell anybody because like a lot of people." I was working a really nerdy job, and a lot of people wanted to play Dungeons and Dragons, and I was like, I swear I will not tell anybody. And they were like, okay, so meet us like at our apartment, and I did. I like went. I was so excited, and I didn't tell anybody. And then I ended up transferring to a different store, and they were like, "Yay, no!" But it was totally like it was the most amazing. They were amazing. They were great players, and they really needed a third player because it was the DM and his girlfriend and this third friend of ours, and the two of them just kept dying. It was like they just really need a balance, and he was like, "You can't make it worse." And I was like, "All right, let's do it." And then I also recently GP'd, and by GP'd, I game princessed a Pathfinder stream. I'm trying to think of what we played. It was a 1E module that I now can't think of the name of. But it went horribly bad, and I got really sick one week, and I asked Gum Malaya, who was on here a couple...
I love Gum.
He's great.
He's
I
so
asked
great.
him to fill in for me, and he ended up killing one of my players while he was filling in for me. And we were like, you know what? We're going to rethink this, because this is just... I don't know anything. I didn't know anything about Pathfinder, and we were kind of like, we kind of want to move over to 2E anyway. We really wanted to do a podcast, not a stream. It was Gallows of Madness. That's what we were playing. And so we were like, we really want to do 2E. We really want to do a podcast. We don't really want to be doing a stream. And so we like switched our format. We moved over to 2E. Now we're doing 2E, and I'm way more comfortable with 2E.
Yeah, it's funny. The only two adventure paths I've ever played were both in Pathfinder First Edition.
Is great, right?
Yeah.
As a player, as a game princess, there are a lot of rules, and I was not good at them. And
But well, I love Pathfinder First Edition because, and I've said this before, it's kind of like a homecoming for me because I started playing D&D with 3.5, and the two are very, very similar. So it, like, for me, it was like, oh, this all totally makes sense because this is how I learned to play. So, you know, it was like a couple of the spells, like the words are a little different because, you know, legalities and stuff, but essentially the gameplay was the same. So I was like, oh, I know how to do this game.
Have any of y'all played, I believe the system is called Low Fantasy Gaming?
No.
I'm not.
No. It's like D&D, but it tries to be a little bit more real. Nolan is running a game of that. It's the first time I'm playing it. But he's running it with me and his brother. And first thing that happened is we were taken to a prison island where we were taken to a store with all this equipment. It's like, all right, you're going to work on this island. Just pick whatever you need. And we got all this cool magic stuff. I was like, oh my God, this is awesome. And then I was like, wait a minute. How much is all this stuff? And I was like, yeah, that's the thing. You're going to be working that off for the next year. So that's what Nolan's talking about. how he tricked us into debt.
Man, Nolan, that
Rough.
tricky
He's
Nolan.
a stinker.
Good grief.
That's how he rolls.
All right.
What else we got?
Yeah, I was just pulling up the next question. So the next question
Yeah.
that we have is from Cypher16X. And the question is, what's your favorite D&D character you've ever played, and why was that character meaningful to you? Okay, how much time do we have? Because
Yeah, right.
One?
I have to pick one.
Yeah,
love them all.
that's the thing is pick one.
Oh, that's a tough one.
Well, I'm currently playing in a game on Wednesday nights. It's every other Wednesday night, and we get to play like maybe once a month right now because it's just the way things work out. But I am playing a level 12 gnome, maybe, I think, named Posey. I haven't gotten to play in a month, but Posey is just so. I got into this game. A friend of mine was on the Dice Populi boards and was kind of like, "Hey, we lost another player for our Wednesday night game, and I'm looking for somebody to fill in if anybody's available." And I was like, "Well, I don't know a lot about role playing games, but I'll do it. Like, if you need somebody, I'd really like to play." And this group is super super advanced, and I am obviously not, right? So, and they've been amazing. Like, they every time there's one player who literally like just DMs me like constantly, like, just make sure you're doing this. He like checks my spell list to make sure that like I had like at one point I had like 7 extra spells. Didn't know how to use any of them. We had to like go through all of them to talk about what was redundant, like because I started at like level 10 and I was like, I don't know how to play this character. But when I brought this character into the game, I accidentally ended up stealing from the party. And so she came in as this thief who was just this, like, she's like 23, which is basically like 16 when you're a gnome. And she has no family. She's like, her quest in life is just to find out how to manufacture and bottle love. Because she's never like felt loved. She's never felt like anybody's wanted to keep her. And she's just trouble, man. Like, she's just bad news, and like she is just so much fun to play. Like, there's just literally times when she gets into trouble, and at one point, like, somebody's familiar actually had to put me in a spell of darkness because I was like possessed by somebody. And once I became unpossessed and realized what was going on, the familiar would not let me out of this like spell of darkness at first. And so, it was my turn. I was like, all right, well, Posey just sits there and cries. That's all I could do. And she's just amazing. She's so much fun to play. She makes little clocks. She just gives them out to people. They don't have hands. They're just little clock devices that she thinks represent things that they might love.
So endearing.
Yeah, such an endearing little thief.
So it's kind of it's more the name than the character, but it's turned into a character that I absolutely love. My very first D&D character, this was an entirely homebrewed campaign, entirely homebrewed races and classes and things like that, but it was like loosely 3.5, I think. And his name was Grildor, and I don't remember a whole lot about that character specifically. But it was just such a meaningful experience having played that the first time through and playing it. And I mean, we played for like 6 hours straight the first time. We were just like, yeah, let's keep going. Yeah. And I have kept that name, Grildor or Grildov or Grill something, for I could not count how many characters now. And my most recent one, his name is Grill. And he is a Goliath bard Barian, and he is the biggest, dumbest, dopiest dude ever, and I love the hell out of him. He just wants to help, and he's not the brightest bulb in the box, but you know he's gonna protect his teammates. He's gonna protect the captain he rides on, or he's part of a crew on a ship, and he absolutely loves his two mice. Do not call them rats.
Did you say barbarian?
Barbarian.
Yeah, I heard you correctly. Awesome.
Yes.
I've never multiclassed
So
before.
beautiful.
Don't mess with Brad and Tiffany. Those are his two mice. From what I've been told, Tiffany's kind of a bitch. Brad's.
What you've heard?
Yeah, Brad's not. Brad's kind of a tool, you know. But you know, they are what they are, and that's what he's got.
I love it.
Phenomenal.
I think my favorite. Ooh, I think I'm going to go with the one I'm playing now, which is Harold the Great, and it's my favorite. I think by default because I've tried to play him the most amount of times. He's finally in a campaign. This is the third time I've tried to play him. The first time he made it to level 2 before he died. Before the campaign died, and the second time the campaign died before the campaign started. But Harold the Great is a sorcerer that doesn't know he's a sorcerer, and believes he is supposed to be a wizard. So, as a child, his parents were like, "Why do you keep making the house catch on fire with your random magic that you're innately capable of doing?" And they sent him to magic school, and he kept getting expelled or suspended or failing because he couldn't learn from the scrolls. But ever so often, a teacher would yell at him, he'd cry, and something would explode in the corner of the room. So for me, it's an allegory for dealing with trying to explain how your brain works when no one understands how your brain works. We homebrewed a wild magic surge chart for him because all his magic runs through his emotions, and he doesn't know that yet. He's 40 years old and working as an adventurer, but he doesn't know how his magic works. He just knows he has magic, and he's a level 9 sorcerer with only level 1 spell slots. When we roll, every time a magic happens, which is normally by accident, we roll a d20, and a 1 through 5 means it's a wild magic surge. 6 through 15 means it's one of these selected spells he already knows, but he doesn't know which one it's going to be. And 15 through 20 means it's a spell he meant to do it, but it's clearly an accident, so don't ask him to do it again. One of the spells he has always equipped is Shield, so that as a reaction, whenever he's scared, he just goes, "Oh my god!" and magic happens anywhere in the game. And it is beautiful and tragic all at the same time.
I love that.
That's amazing.
Yeah, that's great.
He is loosely based on Rincewind from the Discworld books. If you've heard.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Ray, do you want to go or should I go?
I'm still thinking.
Yeah, I wanted to give you time to think if that was the case. My favorite character I've played is Staghorn, which is my namesake. He was a fighter in the Tyranny of Dragons campaign, and he wanted to be a folk hero. So that was just how I played him. He was big and tried his best to be heroic and do the right thing, and everything was a little bit difficult because the young man who he decided to adopt as a brother a halfling rogue named Welby was a thieving piece of shit who also enjoyed murder for some reason. And I'd like to say that Welby grew out of that. I really would, because we're playing a reunion campaign with those characters, and I would really, really love to say that he's grown out of it, Tara.
Hint, hint.
But you know, it's just she said just some light murder. But he was my favorite character, and I started off playing him as this big doofy guy, talked like Patrick Warburton.
Yeah.
It slowly just turned into my voice, and I really liked him. And he wore a helmet that had stag horns on it, and that's why I have the gauntlets and the pauldrons. One day I'd like to build a staghorn costume, but we'll see.
That'd be super cool.
Armor's expensive.
Let's do it.
I can feel myself, like I can feel my jaw like dropping while you guys are talking because I'm getting so into these character stories, and I have to remind myself that people can see me.
If that's happening to you, it's also happening to them, probably, maybe.
Yeah,
Let's hope so.
Just
sure.
We just can't see it. So if you're in chat, you need to take a selfie and post it in my Discord so we can all see your faces too.
Yeah.
Because I just literally realized that I'm listening to this the way that I watch TV, which is basically just.
Yeah. Yeah. I get that.
I'm my problem is I haven't actually played that much, and the majority of characters that I've played have been in one-shots, so they've been incredibly just silly and goofy, nonsensical.
Those
Yeah.
characters. Tell us about all of them.
Tell us the best.
So
doofy
basically,
one.
this is like the equivalent of someone saying, "Pick your favorite child."
I know, right?
The middle one.
I have two long-term characters that I kind of fall back on. One of them I only did for about 10, 12 sessions. The other I did for about a year or so. The one I usually fall back on, that I would say probably I've had the best character arc with, is Cascada, who was a Water Genasi, Blood Hunter, Order of the Profane Soul. And he was part of a Curse of Strahd campaign, and his entire thing was he grew up in a circle of druids, but because of his innate nature, when it came time for the trials to actually, continue to learn in the circle, he could only control water. He couldn't control any of the other elements. And the more he kind of sat down and tried to hone in on these other elements, the more it would kind of backfire. He ended up getting into a fight and injuring one of the members of the circle, and he ended up going into exile. And this whole travel to Strahd, he picked up and learned blood magic, Blood Hunter, in order to manifest other elements. And Order of the Profane Soul, you get a patron similar to a warlock. He didn't realize that his patron was Strahd, and that Strahd was slowly feeding him power, but in a horrible twist of fate, he would only feed him ice and water-based spells and nothing else. So it was this huge, long kind of coming to grips and trying to overcome that boundary, so that when he actually used another element for the first time, he was like level 9. And yeah, he was lawful evil the entire time, and no one found out until the very end when we defeated Strahd, and as everyone left, he stayed and took his place at Ravenloft. And yeah, in terms of like what that character meant, I guess it was very much a allegory of being stuck in a situation where everyone expects the world from you, whereas your actual passions and talents are being ignored. And trying to cope with that and process that and trying to just deal with that in a way that maybe it's positive, maybe it's negative, but at least you're making some kind of progress through it. And you'll cross the bridge when you come to it. And that was kind of the arc I wanted to explore there. So
I think him and Harold would meet in therapy.
Yeah, no, Cascada
Fair,
needs
fair.
majorly needs therapy.
Man, find me someone's character who doesn't.
Right?
Honestly,
Yeah.
you know.
That's fair.
True.
Okay, question related to that. Listening to those awesome backstories of those characters, when you're going into building a new character for the next thing you're doing, regardless of system, what are you looking at in your mind that's going into the character beyond like, here are the stats that should go out? For example, I have one thing is I'm chaos as a player. I think my players and DM are also my audience. So I'm trying to, if they're not silly and goofing off with me, I'll fix it by the end of the session. So that's a kernel of everything in every character I build. But I also, every character I've made has also been based on something I also like from another IP, either a comic or a fantasy or some little like thing that I can visually be like, this is kind of what, if I were to picture it, what it would look like. And I mash those two together and a personality is made that I try to play for the campaign. And then I try to make the numbers match that. So a lot of, like, Harold is really bad at casting magic. His charisma is his third highest stat, even though he's a sorcerer, because he's also a coward, and cowards run away very quickly. So dexterity is the highest stat. What are you looking at when you're trying to build a character? Is based on my question. Sorry, that was a long question.
No, it's I totally get it.
That's a really good thought-provoking one. I love that.
Yeah.
For me, it's how fun is this going to be to role play? That's my go-to every time, and sometimes what I'm feeling will find its way into the character. Like right now, I'm doing a changeling who is just now kind of learning he's a changeling. He's thought he was a dwarf his entire life, and then he got hit by a moonbeam, and that changes changelings into their normal form, and so he's like,
Wow.
what? But like we did Out of the Abyss, and I was in a real rough time in my life, and so the theme of all of my characters in that one became I don't care if I die, and so it became the big thing for all of them. Is yeah. I'm done.
I'm done.
I have.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, go. You go.
Okay. No, you hang up first.
Yeah. And there's the title of the episode.
Yep.
Yay.
I think most of my characters that I, especially the ones that I think back on, I mean, I've played plenty of characters in one-shots, and, some definitely are easier to roleplay than others and land better than others and are more fun than others. And the ones that I can remember, like I would play them again, building them, I think in my mind, it's like something that I value in each of them. So like, for example, a lot of my characters are like super like, and I guess endearing characters, if that makes any sense. Like Grill, the one that I was just talking about, was like one of the biggest, dopiest, like teddy bear kind of characters that you could ever play or meet in a campaign, and I loved playing him. One of the characters, one of the NPCs from our podcast, Eric, he just talks like this all the time, and he's the wonderful. He's an executioner that is sort of afraid of blood, and he's just like my players absolutely love him, and they do not want him to leave ever. And it's characters like that where it's like, I really value, like a strong backbone kind of guy, or somebody with a fluffy inside, or it's those little pieces that I think might translate to like what I value in other people or myself, but that's what I kind of go to.
My characters always start off as like, what sounds really fun to play, or what haven't I played in a while, or something like that, but they always end up morphing into something that I didn't expect from the get-go. So the character that I played that probably means the most to me was my halfling Edabrix that I played in the Pathfinder, one of the Pathfinder first edition games that I played.
You say that name again slowly.
Edabrix.
Okay.
Idabrix.
All right.
And so she started off as a halfling rogue with like a semi-tragic backstory, because you have to. But this actually her semi-tragic backstory was actually caused by something she did, not by like her parents dying or whatever. She was like, she did stupid stuff and she won stupid prizes. So anyway, I was like, yeah, this will be fun. Like, I like playing rogues. This will be good. And then as we moved through the story, her character multi-classed into a fighter rogue based on things that happened in the course of the story. So in the course of the story, she ended up in a romantic relationship with an NPC. NPC was a ship captain. The ship got blown up while he was on it. She saw the whole thing happen. So she was like, I need vengeance now. And so she became a rogue fighter, which was fun because I don't play fighters very often either. So that was sort of a nice thing to like, this is kind of cool. And then through the course of like, as they were adventuring in this town, she spent a lot of time hanging out with another NPC who happened to be a ranger. So she also multi-classed into ranger. So she was a rogue fighter ranger by level 5. And it was actually a lot of fun because like at that point her athletics was through the roof. She was able to like, she started like, we had like I said, she's a halfling. She's 3'2". We had like a 7-foot tall barbarian in the party. So they would do a lot of stuff where like they sort of in the off time, they would train together. And so they had this great system down where like her turn would come up in combat and she'd be like, gunner, shield. And he'd plant a shield down in the ground and she'd run and jump off it and do like diving attacks onto the enemies and stuff. And so that was kind of the long roundabout way of me explaining that it usually starts with like, oh, this sounds like it might be kind of fun. I haven't done this in a while. And then I like to just kind of let it see where it goes. And, it also really like, I like to look at a lot of like, what are some of the things that are really practical for my characters as they're going on this adventure. So she took a level of fighter because she'd been training with a barbarian and because she wanted vengeance on the person who blew up, the ship. And then she'd been spending a lot of time with a ranger. So naturally she learned some ranger skills just by doing that. So that's sort of how I like to progress my characters, when I'm doing a long-term campaign like that, is what's some of the stuff that she's doing on the outside that's not like necessarily main mission focused that she would learn from. So, yeah.
Yeah.
Who hasn't gone? Is it just me and Ray?
I think so.
I think so. I added a caveat to the question we'd already asked, so I made it harder. Sorry.
That's good. That's good. Mine's pretty quick. Mine is two things. One, what aspect of myself do I want to go ahead and explore? So
That's dangerous.
Cascada was my constant grappling with imposter syndrome. Kylan is a fallen Azamar spore druid who I made to kind of work through my chronic illness and things like that. Blackout Trunk was my moron Loxodon drunken master who was just like, you know what? I just want to be funny. That's it. I just want this character to be funny. That's the end all be all. And then two is what ridiculous rule combination can I just take the absolute mick out of? It doesn't have to be like, I'm not looking to like min-max OP. I just want to find something that works together and just goes, what? So, Callista is a one of the Guide to Ravenloft lineages. She's a Dampier. I saw the thing about the fangs, and I saw, okay, cool, yeah, that's a racial feature. Awesome. All right, sweet. Then I looked into Druid, and saw that when you wild shape, you keep your racial features. You can also keep your class features. So I can go Dampier, Circle of the Moon Druid, and Barbarian, and have a raging vampire direwolf.
Wow.
And that is entirely rule legal. I was like, this isn't going to be very effective, but it's going to be funny.
Yeah.
Also, Dampier gets Spider Climb as a racial ability as well.
Ooh.
You have not seen fear until you have seen a vampire bear crawling on the ceiling, rushing towards you with 80 foot of movement.
I'm in fear just hearing about it.
Yep.
I don't need that. I don't need that in my life.
It wasn't like hugely effectual, but God, it was funny. Also, Callista had an intelligence of like 4, so it was like we need to be careful. We need to scout on the rooftops, and she's like, okay, turns into a bear and just walks up the wall. And just wanders off onto the rooftops and heads away. So, it's a fun combo.
I feel like I need to see art of that.
Don't.
You know what? Actually, yeah. At first I was like, yes, and now I'm like, you know what? I have enough that
Okay.
terrifies me. And I got enough nightmare fuel, man.
Yeah, so what I was actually going to say is I have night terrors, right?
Oh,
and
no.
so so thank you for that, Ray. No, but so sometimes when I'm creating these characters, right? Cuz the weird thing about night terrors is that you actually you're in it, right? Like you can't tell you're dreaming most of the time. And so like I have played in my night terrors different people. I have been different people. And so sometimes I will create characters out of like not necessarily I'm usually like a person, right? I'm not like an elf or a tiefling or anything. That'd be cool, but I'm not. But like something that I felt in that night terror, right? Like or something that I kind of like thought was cool or want to explore. Also, because I tend to get roped into these games very last minute that I've never played before, I've taken to asking the DM or the GM to just make me a character, and then I'll work on the backstory. But like I'm very much with you, Julian, where I need them to. Is it Julian?
Yeah, I was like, oh,
Yeah.
you're talking about me. Yeah, I heard my name.
Yeah. Okay. I'm like, and now I got your name wrong. No, I'm with you where I need like their stats to match their like the story. So like,
Yep.
even if I didn't make the character, right? If I'm working on the backstory, so for the Shadowrun game, I'm going to be playing this character Grubby, and Grubby is a chef, and she's a fighter, which I've never played before. I always play spellcaster, so this is gonna be really fun for me. But you know, she's not super charismatic. Like, that's not the name of the stat, but she's not like a super, like, she's not a great talker. She's a medium talker. So, like, I wrote that into her backstory, right? Like, she grew up on the streets. She's really good at, she's a troll, which in Shadowrun is kind of like a lesser race. And so, like, I kind of wrote into her backstory that she grew up on the streets with these other trolls, and she's, like, seriously in debt because of the way that the GM created this character. And so I kind of, like, wrote in that she's in all this debt because she's trying to, like, open up, like, an orphanage and, like, a non-profit for, like, other trolls and orcs, and, like, it very much, like, fits with who she is as a character, as the character was built. Because I need that to match. Like,
yeah.
For me to get into the character, and then I can play the character, then it doesn't matter. But, like, if they don't match, then there's, like, my brain can't do it.
Mm. I like that. Does anyone else use their dump stats for personality? So the not counting Harold, but so normally, like, the strong stats are like how this character is useful, like in combat or like within the story of the game, and then, like, the bottom three are like, this is how I see or interact with the world during the game, and, like, maybe influence how I talk as a voice that I'm really bad at. But, like, if my constitution is really low, he's going to be a coward. If his charisma is really low, he's going to stutter when he's talking in public. Like, there's ways that I just, like, the numbers always equate to something on the character rather than being like, I will never use this.
Those are the endearing stats.
Exactly.
That's how you become endearing.
Yes.
Usually, if I have a low stat, 9 times out of 10 it stacks, and 9 times out of 10, what that means is I won't even try to stealth. It's like, all right, we're gonna sneak through here. I can't sneak. It's like, what do you mean you can't?
Thank you.
Yeah, it's
Stay
like,
right here.
Yeah, it's like, I can come with you, but I guarantee you.
It's always a really helpful primer on making your characters, because yes, of course, you know, big stat make serotonin go brr, but also having that dump stat and being like, okay, why is this a dump stat? Because it's easy enough to say, like, I have a low intelligence. Okay, so I'm not that educated. But then you have, like, okay, if I have a low intelligence and a high wisdom, then how am I going to play that out?
Street smarts.
Yep.
Yeah, or
Street
you know, low constitution. It's like, okay, am I an individual who will put myself first? Am I overly protective? Am I packing a lot of defensive magic?
Yep.
Maybe it's the opposite. Maybe I have a low constitution because I'm so gung-ho that I've taken so many wounds that now my general health has declined. Like, there's other twists that you can put on lower stats, and that's what makes it interesting for me, at the very least. Like, being able to weave that into the story that's already being told and being like,
I
okay,
agree.
I can roll with this.
Yeah.
Ooh, you go.
I was just gonna say, important question, real quick. What does big number make serotonin go?
It's a well-known fact. Big numbers make serotonin go brr.
Okay, cool. Just wanted to make sure.
I'm gonna need that as a ringtone.
Yeah.
I will make sure to clip that and get you the MP3 version of it.
Yeah.
Thank you. No, but okay.
Am I wrong?
No. Okay, wait. But so this is the thing, right? Like, anytime you're playing a character, and, like, okay, yes, I'm a nerd. I've been a nerd my whole life. I was in acting when I was in high school.
No.
I was acting in middle school. Yeah. Okay. Thank you. But like, here's the thing, right? Like, we have all because we're human, we have all been in a position at one point or another where we have had every single low stat, right, in real life. Like,
Yes.
we have all been low dexterity, we have all been low constitution, we have all been low charisma. Don't try to tell me otherwise. I know you're lying. Like,
Yeah, it's called middle school.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I'm glad for you it ended in middle school. For some of us, it took a lot longer.
Well, I'm just saying. I didn't
Sometimes
say
it's
it
still
ended
going.
in middle school. I just said that's when it started.
My point is, like, we've all been there, right? Like, we all have different things that have happened to us that, like, you know, there are just days, and still, like, you know, that there are days when, like, if you had, like, just a stat pool, right, like, on your wall, and you were just assigning yourself numbers on any random day, like, there are days, right? So, like, I think that, like, that real life experience is what really makes it fun to play these characters, because, like, we all know what it feels like. We all know what it is, and, like, you could just avoid that stat. You can, and that's a way to play a character, and there's nothing wrong with that. But, like, for me, when I'm playing these characters, I am playing these characters, and, like, I am getting into it. I am gonna do it all the way, and, like, if I am, you know, low dexterity character, I am gonna trip.
Yep.
It is
Yeah.
bad.
Oh yeah.
And,
I
have
played a
lot
character
of
one time
experience.
who was a centaur and really leaned into the fact that she couldn't go up and down stairs.
Oh yeah.
Oh.
I kind of look at it like a number of the I guess novel and TV writers that inspire me talk about, like, what does the character want, like how soon can you tell what the character wants. And I kind of feel like whenever I look at a stat box, like, there's a why for my character, like, to exist in the campaign, and then I go, well, why is he strong? Why is he dexterous? Why is he charismatic? And I answer those questions by placing a number there. So then, like, everything has a reason, story-wise, that projects onto
That
how I
makes
play
sense.
it.
So much more work that I put into characters than I do to my homework.
I know that feeling. I can't tell you how many times that I've told my parents about something that happened in D&D or talked about stats and like rules and stuff like that. And they don't say it, but I can hear it in their voice of just you could have had a higher GPA.
You probably
My
could have
sisters-
passed math class, yeah.
Yeah, you probably could have passed math.
My
Poor
sisters
buddy.
have taken to buying me D&D stuff for holidays and stuff, which is great, and I love, like, they're really good. They come up with some really good stuff. But every holiday now that they buy D&D stuff, I kind of get the D&D stuff, and it comes with a card that kind of says, we don't know what it does, but we think it's useful.
I love it.
Yup.
I love it.
That sounds like a character concept right there.
Yep.
Yeah. That's an artificer
I was
right
going to
there.
say that's an artificer if ever I heard one.
I don't know what this is, but I think it does something.
Yeah.
What's it do? I don't know.
I don't know.
Oh no.
Actually, that
But
sounds
I
like
know
something
what
that my
it
kid
is.
said once when she was like 6. She saw a kid on a scooter at the local park, and she had never seen a scooter before. And she was watching this kid very, very intently. And I was like, you know, what is that? And she goes, I don't know what that thing is, but I bet it's great. And on that note, we're going to pause to take a quick break. So stick around. If we haven't answered your question yet, we will get to it after the break. I've got a little stockpile of them going in the back room, so we will get to it just then. And
back
Gum,
room?
thank you for the raid. You were just in time for us to go to break. So we will see you in just a few minutes after the break. See you soon.
Okay, this is the hardest part of any role-playing game. Who wants to be the dungeon master?
I do. Me.
Everyone?
We could aid a desperate town in their hunt for a savage beast.
Or sail to a hidden isle full of talking turtles.
I love turtles.
Or tracking down a band of pirates to save your best friend.
5 DMs, 5 great ideas. I guess we'll have to play them all.
Yeah.
Set sail with us for a podcast adventure full of music, laughter, and friendship on Dice Populi. Listen to these stories and more at dicepopuli.com.
All right, we are back from break. Hope you all had a good break. I know I did. And yeah, we're going to dive right back in with some other questions that we have from chat. So we're going to start with, let's see, the next one came in from the Dimpire. And Jim asks, most interesting bending of the rules you've ever encountered at a table.
I know one right off the bat.
Do it.
It was Tyranny of Dragons. It was Staghorn and Welby. Welby was in a mining camp very far away, was knocked out, and we needed to get him back. We were very far from him, and so I said, I want to tie a rope to an arrow, and I want to pierce his shoulder, and I want to pull him back with this arrow. And my DM, Andy, was like, it's gonna be hard, but okay. And so, like, we did all this stuff to try and get it to work, and just like that was the best rule bending ever, especially considering it was a we were pulling a rope from like maybe half a mile away, like towards us up a cliff, and we had to make all these strength checks, and then the if we got 3 failures, it was death saves every time something happened, and at one point he had to we had to make a strength check, and it was like only a 10 or something like that, and we were like, crap, we're gonna lose. Well, but it was early in the game, and our DM was like, he's a halfling, he's not very heavy, and so we saved him that way. But like that, I think about that every time we think about kind of bending the rules a little.
Just talking about that rope just makes me think of like the Campbell's soup can, like talk into it, and
Yes.
Absolutely.
half a mile away. Campbell soup. The first one that I can think of is, and I don't even know, maybe you guys can help me with this, because we play relatively fast and loose with the rules anyway, but this could be a totally rules legal action that happened. But in our campaign, the party was fighting a sentient cannon on legs that was called Quack, and it did quack like a duck. And after fighting it for a while, the ranger of the group decided to cast Jump on it, and it had already gotten a crack in its like hull or in the cannon itself. And so the way that we played this is like, you know what, go for it. And he rolled well enough and everything and casted Jump on it. This thing jumps, I don't remember how far in the air, like 100 feet in the air or something like that, come back down and fell to the ground, collapsed and broke literally in half, was the way that we played it. I don't know if you can do that. It was really cool though. Like and honestly, it's one of those moments where like as a DM you're like, damn, that's creative. I gotta let that happen. I don't care. I don't even care if this is rules.
You want to let it happen.
Exactly. I remember it. Just I want to cast Jump on it. What?
I like the idea that Jump is an involuntary spell. Like,
there is no wording in that spell that says that the creature has to be willing or not. It just says it just says you touch a creature and its jump is tripled. It doesn't get a choice in the matter.
That and Catapult are beautiful spells. I love
them. It is wonderful.
Posey went into a toy store. We were trying to find out information about a bunch of like magical items we had, and we went into this toy store, and it was great. There were 2 things that happened in that store that was great. The first thing is, so like I said, one of the other players has this minion who is their familiar, and who has just become a character in their own right? And the character is named Furfeet and is literally just this little like ball of just energy and just like involved in the fights and travels with the party all the time. And so the DM actually allowed Furf to get like a toy crossbow and some armor, and to use that as a crossbow and armor, which was amazing. Because now at night sometimes Furf goes out and kills townspeople's sheep. We're working on it. But the other thing that happened was the shopkeeper had enchanted a stuffed teddy bear, and I wanted one. So we play this game on Wednesday nights. I'm on Eastern time. The DM is on Eastern time. Everybody else is like, I think everybody else is pretty much Pacific time. So we're playing at it's like 11 o'clock for us by the time we're getting close to the end, and it's like, a reasonable time for everybody else. And I'm also usually an early to bed kind of person, but I love this game, so I stay up for it. And so he's describing this little animated teddy bear that talks and just hangs out with the shopkeeper and does little things for the shopkeeper. And it was 11 o'clock and I wanted one. And so I want one. And I was fighting with the party at the moment over one of the decisions that had been made. And so somebody in the party actually was like, I would buy you one. And the DM was like, okay, come back in 5 days. Here's what it's going to cost. And so when we get back from this current part of the adventure we're on, I have a animated bird stuffed animal that is mine, that is waiting for me because I am a druid. And it is going to be my companion. It's just going to hang out with me. He was just like, after the game, he was like, why? And I'm like, I mean, how could you introduce an animated stuffed animal into a game with me and not expect me to be like, but how? How do I get one?
Yeah.
Give.
What do you want?
Mine.
Give
Monkey
now.
brain want thing.
Yes. The monkey with the symbol on the train track that just goes around and around and around is now focused.
Want serotonin. Brr.
Yeah.
Serotonin, go brr.
That's it.
Want it, go brr.
I'm telling you. Look, numbers
like,
numbers being big is the reason why people play rogues. That's literally it. The big numbers make you happy. They don't talk about the second attack. It's like, oh yeah, rogue, I've done 164 damage. Amazing. What's your next attack? 4. No. No talks about the second one. Sorry, anyway.
Numbers, I just want the stuffed animals. But the thing is, when you have 7 people in a party and you're one DM and you've now introduced a concept, it's on you.
Mm-hmm. What was the question? That was a beautiful answer, and I love this story. I don't remember what you were answering.
The question was, what was the most interesting bending of rules you've encountered at a table?
Oh, that's right. I don't know. Because everything that I've ever played has been homebrewed. Enough of it comes in from their imagination that I don't second guess anything. So I don't know.
All of it.
all of it is great.
The rules are there are no rules.
Exactly. Like when I DM, I DM in D&D 5e by default because I know enough of the rules to not open the book to create the adventure I want to create. So half of the things I'm making are just pulled out of my own self, and I have no idea if it applies or not, and I make the numbers work. So I'm going to say that. That is my favorite part of bending rules.
You play a little bit of Calvin Ball.
I kind of family feud that and just
it changes every time. I adhere to logic in the world that we're playing in, but because I never opened the D&D book to craft the world, some things might not actually be as they're supposed to be, and I don't care.
Very DM. I like that.
I feel like we should family feud that answer and just be like, good answer, good answer.
Good answer. Good answer.
Yeah.
And the board says you were wrong.
The board says every DM ever does that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But I don't know as a player because most of my games have been DM'd so homebrewedness that by the time I opened a book of D&D, I learned things were not as they were retroactively, like not in the game. I just took it for granted as I was playing.
I can't think of a good example. Like,
It's okay, neither can I.
part of it is like I'm a very rule of cool GM anyway, so if someone comes up with something, I'm just like, yeah, it'd be funny, go for it. Yeah, no, I don't know. It's actually a really hard question when you play a lot of like looser kind of games and a lot of homebrew stuff. I don't know. I got nothing. I'm stuck. Like it's all little things. Like you know, like all the little like rule adjustments and rule breaks and rule of cool kind of stuff. Like one of my favorite things I like to do in my games is overcasting. So if you are out of spell slots and there's a spell that you want to use, you take that much exhaustion as a spell slot and you get to cast it anyway.
Ooh, I like it.
So someone has used that against me once. Because I was like, oh, I'll add in this cool little homebrew rule. And they're like, yeah, so I'm playing a sorcerer. I'm like, uh-huh. So, can I twin cast this? I'm like, I guess.
Yeah.
Do it.
I think all of mine all go back to rule of cool stuff. So
yeah.
Yeah.
If you don't use the rule of cool, may I suggest using the rule of cool? It makes you feel awesome, and it makes your players also feel awesome.
All right, let's see. Next question comes from Cypher16X. How have TTRPGs changed you as a person or helped you grow IRL?
Oh boy.
That's a very
touchy.
arrogant.
I mean, I've been playing for 14 and a half years, so a lot.
How much of the growth is from the game and how much of it is you growing in general?
A lot.
I also think that
I
also think there's a significant difference between playing, like, the question as it is, so just playing games in general, and playing games online.
Yeah.
Like, on stream. I think they're two very different experiences, and they make you grow and develop in very different ways.
So for me personally, sort of to that point, if I hadn't played TTRPGs prior to getting divorced, for example, I never would have gotten into streaming TTRPGs. And then I never would have started this show, and then I wouldn't know the majority of the people that I know now, and I,
the butterfly effect ensues.
Yeah, exactly. And so I think if I know that if I hadn't ever sat down at the table that first time, like my life would look very different today than it does. So, call it growth or not, it is because there's a lot of there's a lot of additional skills, like from learning how to stream and, all of that stuff that I had to pick up, but also just, the networking and the marketing and the, all of that stuff too that, that I had to learn. But then, I don't know that I would necessarily call it part of, like, I mean, I guess it kind of is, but all of the people that I've met have all affected me in some way, whether big or small. There's a lot of times that I'll talk to people and I'll be like, oh my God, yeah, I had you as a guest on Tales from the Tavern 3 seasons ago or whatever. And, it's just always really nice to reconnect with those people. And then there are other people that through the course of being part of the community are now substantial part of my life. So, yeah. I mean, there's just no good answer for that for me, but yeah.
Sorry, go ahead.
You're gonna go.
I just 100% agree with what you said, because it's like, had we not started, or had I not started playing TTRPGs back in grade school, I wouldn't have thought to pick it back up 4 years ago or whatever it was, and then start a podcast, and then get into this whole community and meet some incredible people that I like. Honestly, I call some really close friends now, and it's like, it's so weird how, like, I don't know, that butterfly effect thing. It's a thing. It's a thing.
Oh yeah.
Like, something so small as playing a game with your friends, once a week or once a month or whatever, turns into, now I have connections to people that do voice acting, and I've done voice acting now, and it's like, how did that even become a thing when I was watching cartoons and I'm like, wow, that's a cool guy's voice? It's like, I don't know. The world works weird.
Yeah.
I came to TTRPGs rather later in my not old life. And I think, Leonard, we kind of talked about this on my podcast. The moment I played, I was like, why have I not been doing this?
Yeah.
Because a mix of how it involves storytelling and improv and a little bit of building of community and a little bit of randomness that is just having fun, was all stuff that I enjoy doing in separate avenues with separate hobbies. And this was one thing that brought all of it together in one unique package. And I think the last few years, since you can't say that this wouldn't have happened without it, but since picking up the hobby, I think it is because it uses so many of the things that I enjoy separately. The things that I enjoy separately have also improved. So as someone who works for myself creatively and professionally, it means that even if I'm not doing the things that are part of my everyday existence, the part that makes those things better has improved at like the lowest denominator. I don't know. I'm not making sense, but the skills that I use within playing Dungeons and Dragons, or more particularly DMing, are separate skills that I use in my personal and professional life that otherwise don't get practiced. But D&D gives me a slate to practice them on their own. And then I go and do the professional thing or the personal thing, and I realize that I'm much more confident doing that thing than I was before, even though I haven't done it in a very long time. So it gives me a way to have a hobby that is in no way related to how I pay for my existence in the world, which is very important. You should all have that if you don't have that. But it also is something that builds the skills that I use for paying for things at the same time. And that is probably the thing that I'm using to answer the question.
I think that's very similar to kind of what I was thinking is like in very different words, but like
I'm going to borrow your answer when you say it better.
okay, cool. I feel like this is so cheesy. Sorry. My undergrad is in writing. It's in journalism specifically. So, yeah, cheesy is my thing. I feel like playing these games was, first of all, this is something I wanted to do my whole life, right? Since I was like really young, I wanted to play Dungeons and Dragons. I wanted to be part of those kind of communities, and I didn't know the right people. And I was 30 when I got involved with my first D&D group, and which just made it sound like a drug addiction. Sorry about that, but
also
my bad. Which to my mother it was, which was really funny. She was, "You're doing what? You're playing Dungeons and Dragons?" I'm like, "Mom, I've already read Harry Potter. Like, it's fine. The evil's already in me. We're okay."
That was the gateway. That was the gateway one.
Yeah, we went through that. We actually just made fun of her. I was making fun of her on Mother's Day. I was like, "See, if you hadn't let me pick up those Harry Potter books, Mom, I mean, I'd probably be..." And she was just like, "Let you? I never let you read a single thing in my entire life." I was reading to my mom from the time I was like 6. But I was like, you know, I was always interested in Dungeons and Dragons and in role-playing games, and I just never really had the courage to go out and find it. And when I was 30, I went through a major life event that really changed my perspective, and I went out and I found it, and I found a group, and you know, this secret little group who was like, just don't tell anybody, and we played in secret. And then I went out and I found more people, and I met somebody else at work who was like, "Hey, my friend is starting this D&D podcast, you know, you should totally talk to him." And I talked to him, and I got involved in his Discord, and that introduced me to all these other people from all over the world. And my second game of D&D is literally an international game of D&D that we play like once a month. And we are from literally all over the world. And they are like, we are a family. We are the Little Toast family. That's what we call ourselves, because one of our players is named Primitive Toast, and we just all jumped on, and we're all toasts now. And there's people from Argentina and Norway and Germany and God, Lizzie, I can't think of where you're from. I'm so sorry right now. But like, they're literally all over the world, and we've been playing together for over a year, and we did like birthday presents for each other, and I've said I love you to every single one of them, and they made me more confident. They made me like less afraid to say yes to stuff. And then the first time I was on Tales of the Tavern, Luna had put out a call on Dice Populi and was like, "Hey, you want to come do this thing?" And I was like, "Yeah, I want to do that." So I said yes, and I got invited to the Inspired Incompetence Discord through that by somebody named Lord Richter, and through that I actually met the person who I really believe is my soulmate. And like, so it totally changed my life. Like, it totally made, you know, this simple thing that I always was super interested in and still am super interested in and do for fun, has totally made me the type of person who says yes to things. And just makes me feel like, hey, like, I feel like if I could do this thing that I've always wanted to do, why can't I do other things that I've always wanted to do?
Yeah,
and I was saying
right?
to you guys on the break, like, you know, I went out and I got my dream job finally after like 14 years, and it pays crap, and it's the most exciting thing I've ever done. I waited a long time to do it, and I'm getting my master's in social work. It's something I waited a long time to do.
Social workers
like,
for the win. Woo. That's what my degree is in.
Yeah, it's brutal. But it's amazing. It is amazing, and it is literally like, I want to work in advocacy, and I want to, you know, work in with research, and I want to work with grants, and like, I'm getting the opportunity to do that, and like, I'm not even done with my master's yet, and I already have the opportunity to do that. So like, all of this stuff, like I said, super cheesy. Sorry for talking so long, but like, I feel like just that first opportunity and saying, you know what, yes, like I really want to do this. Why can't I do this thing I want to do? Was enough for me to start saying yes to other things. And then all of a sudden it was just like, you know what? Yes. Like, why am I so afraid of everything? I'm just going to go for it.
Totally.
Honestly.
Yeah, I totally, like, that all resonates so big. All right. Let's move on to...
I've got all the warm and fuzzies right now. Like, it's just it's all right here.
Love you guys.
I know. Hurt hands all around.
Do it.
Yeah. Really.
I mean, you have gloves. I just can't do it.
Uh,
It's one of those, like, walking and talking and texting things. Anyway.
All right. So Gum dropped by and would like to know... I did not mean to make a joke there. I just realized what I said. And...
the gumdrop buttons!
Sorry, Gum. And asked, what do you think is the most underutilized skill in tabletop gaming? Athletics, perception, etc.
Investigation.
What?
Investigation. Yeah. I feel like perception gets used a lot instead of investigation.
Oh yeah.
That's fair.
At least in my games.
That's when the DM's like, no, you have to look in this direction. You perceive it.
Yeah. Some people act like they're interchangeable. I don't. Maybe.
See, the way that we play it, as far as investigation goes, is like perception is large scale, and then the way that we play is investigation is more like small scale.
Yeah, no, that's how it's supposed to be.
Oh, see, that's another one of those things. It's like, I don't know how it's supposed to work.
Yeah.
Good. Hey.
That's great.
But it's like one of those things where it's very dependent on your table and your crew and who you're playing with.
Yeah.
We don't really use animal.
Oh yeah, no,
handling
this
or something.
This is definitely a to each their own answer.
Yeah. I would say most of them, but that's probably more how I play, which is probably a problem because it means I play my tank barbarian the same as I play my squishy wizard. They all have to be there so that in case it comes up, like you can roll for that thing to be interacted with. But I don't do a whole lot of like surviving in the wild or like having to check nature or like Arcana and like history seem to be interchangeable sometimes. There's a lot of but regardless of the type of character, even when I'm like in heavy armor, I seem to roll stealth a lot. I tend to use a lot of sleight of hand, even if I'm not good at it. So part of it's my problem, but there's definitely a number of things that I avoid putting stats in, even if I'm supposed to be good in it, because I know I won't ever try to use it.
I have the opposite problem
Fun.
where no matter what I'm playing, I am gonna try to rob somebody. Because, like, I'm never gonna get away with that in real life, right? And, like, it's just not gonna happen. Like, it wasn't gonna happen when I was a kid, it wasn't gonna happen when I was a teenager, and I was way too much of a goody-goody to try anything when I was a teenager, and, like, I might try it now, but honestly, like, I'm not going to get away with it.
I was going to say, the problem is you just told us all. So,
well, yeah. I mean, I didn't have to tell you because I'm just not stealthy. Like, I mean, literally.
If meeting in public,
no.
hide puss.
No, you don't need to hide it because literally, it's not going to happen. I can't run. Like, I have really bad asthma especially when I'm running. So like, 3 steps with somebody's wallet, and I'm going to be handing it back and asking them to call 911. So, when the zombie apocalypse comes, I'm just going to go save whatever zombie child is on my lawn and go out that way, so at least I feel good about myself. Because I'm just not going anywhere. But when I'm playing a character, like, I don't care what the character is, I'm going to try to pickpocket somebody, and I'm going to fail. It doesn't matter how many points I put into anything. My sleight of hand checks are just one. I'll get one really good one, like 119, and then the next one is just gonna, and I'm just gonna keep doing it. Because what's the point? Like, you're playing role-playing games. It's okay to fail. Like,
Yeah, I want to address someone in chat real quick. Pliskin, who is my sister-in-law, who plays as a thief in everything we do. She's agreeing with you about, like playing a thief in the game because she can't be one in real life. But she is definitely one in real life. There are several things in her house that she has stolen.
maybe you can come give me some lessons.
Yeah, if you would like to learn, I am sure she'd be happy to teach you. Yeah, don't you say wait.
That's been called out.
The Waffle House mugs, the boxwood tree,
No,
so many things.
What are you talking about?
Hey, I just need to tell you, I am the middle of three girls. I grew up with two sisters, right? One sister literally decorated her walls in road signs. She, pulled road signs that had fallen down during storms, and she decorated her walls with them. Yeah, I don't
off a truck.
I don't want to know. That was the story, and I'm sticking to it. The other one, before she moved to California, we cleaned out her bedroom, and she lived in California for 8 years, and before she moved, we cleaned out her bedroom, and we found cups from every fast food, not fast food, but Buffalo Wild Wings, Applebee's. I'm like, what are you doing with this stuff? Okay, the thrill, fine, but steal the silverware. What are you gonna do with the cups?
What are you gonna do with the silverware?
Use it.
Use the cups.
Well, yeah, they do. My parents still use the cups, actually. But the point is, there is just, a beautiful tradition of just being able to pickpocket stuff, and I did not get that gene. Hopefully they're not watching.
Honestly, be thankful, because otherwise you might have wound up like Pliskin. And then that's you never want to do that. You never want to go full Pliskin.
Oh boy.
Back to the question at hand.
Which is?
Before more people out themselves as
thieves! Dirty, rotten thieves!
Thieves! Tricksy little thieves! Most underused skill is not actually any of the skills, it's a rule. The most underused skill in the game is the fact that you can change the stat of a skill in a check.
Yep.
For free. You just as the DM, you can just be like, hey, yeah, nature is intelligence. No, it's not. Use your wisdom instead. Hey,
yeah.
That's the thing that I never see used in the majority of D&D games that I see. There's a lot of people who will be like, religion is intelligence, but all of the religious people are, they use wisdom. It's like, guess what? You don't have to. It's okay. Don't worry about it. There's a rule in the Player's Handbook and the Dungeon Master's Guide where if you're asking a player for a check, you can ask them for a different base stat, but using the same skill. And it is glorious. It's intimidation? I'm not going to use charisma. I'm going to use strength.
Strength.
Yeah.
I'm
just
gonna...
I think that comes from how much of character creation has become digital. Because the stats are prefigured in, and you're not... when you're working from paper and pen, you have to in your head be like, I know this bonus goes to this thing for that thing. So when you switch it, you can do the math in reverse and keep it going. But there's no button on your D&D Beyond character that lets you switch that for you. So if you're not
that's going to be a factor.
Yeah. So if you're not used to doing the math, redoing the math isn't going to happen.
You
could just add a dice.
Yeah, with D&D Beyond, because it's never been easier. It has what the skill is, so all you gotta do is change that number, and then you're good. Sorry, I love
That's
D&D
awesome.
Beyond.
I'm not complaining. I just, in my head, that was... Because whenever I go back to create a character for paper and pencil, I go, oh, I forgot that's how this all works.
Oh, it's a factor. It's absolutely a factor. It's just a shame that no one.
Yeah.
Obviously, I'm kind of overly generalizing to make a point, but
I have
just.
I've had a DM that emphasized what your character's trying to do is the base skill. So, like, if you're trying to be a strong intimidator, it makes sense that you're not being charismatic. It means that you're terrifying someone with your strength.
Yeah.
So I agree.
Yeah, it's a rule that people should use a lot more. Like one of my favorite roles from a game recently was a rogue trying to intimidate someone by basically saying, "Oh, you're going to try and steal from my party and run away? You can go ahead and do that, but just bear in mind I'm faster." And then ended up using intimidation dexterity to just basically show that they were a lot faster and a lot more deft than their enemy was, and to intimidate them that way. Use it. It's a good rule.
I had a friend who specifically used that rule. He wanted to use strength for everything, and at first we were like, okay, cool, yeah, it's like athletics, strength, okay, cool, yeah, intimidation, stuff like that, persuasion. He was like, I also want to use it for like investigation.
Okay, I will amend my previous statement. Within reason.
Turn over this rock real hard.
Yep. He found a way for all of them. It was so
Listen,
great.
if Batman can detect through punching things, so can you.
Hey, if you could justify it to me,
yeah,
fine.
Okay, I have a question, and I'll answer this, but I want to do it last. How would you use Arcana strength?
What?
Or do you use Arcana with strength as the skill?
Yeah, how would you play that out?
When dealing with a magical barrier, you can go ahead and punch it to see how strong the spell actually is and how well it's constructed. Thereby figuring out roughly how strong a spellcaster actually put the spell there and what the spell's level is.
That was very tough from
just
Avatar.
off the top of my head.
Yeah, that's a much smarter answer than mine, which is going to be, you think it's magic, but you're just hitting it.
Yeah.
Someone in chat just said it sounds like Ray has done that before.
No, but I want to.
Yeah.
No, but you're going to now.
That broke my brain. So I'm going to borrow both of the previous answers as mine.
Yep. That's great. Julian. God damn, man.
Yeah.
I kind of like to fail, so I don't really want to change my skills.
Okay.
I like that.
That's fair too.
Mm-hmm.
See, what I was thinking, and my first thought when I thought of Arcana wasn't so much to check something, so much as to cast something. And my first thought was one of those wind up flashlights, like, and then lightning or fireball.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Fireball. It's definitely fireball.
I've played an artificer a couple of times.
You need to throw fireball with more strength.
I may have to make a magic item that is, in fact, a wind-up fireball caster.
I really
would like
love
to
that
cast
idea.
Ranged fire fist, please.
Yeah.
Oh my god. I really love that.
I need to write that down.
Write it down right now.
Writing on my whiteboard.
Put it on the whiteboard. While you do that, we are getting close to running out of time. So, what we're going to do is we're going to go back around in the opposite direction of when we started, and have everybody just remind us of who you are, where we can find you on social media, anything that you have going on that you want to share, podcasts, streams, fundraisers, anything like that. And Julian, Stag, we're going to start with you this time.
Okay. I am
I don't know who I am
totally
anymore.
exactly. Who am I?
I changed your name to Julian, so...
Which character are you playing?
My name is David Hallman. I am the Fungeon Master for Good Better Quest. On Twitch, I more commonly go by Staghorn. You can find me on Twitch at stag_horn. I am often on there during the week painting minis or playing games. And I always love interacting with chat. So come on by, get entertained, deal with my chicanery. End of list.
Are you not entertained?
Are you not entertained?
I am entertained. Thank you for coming on and hanging out. It's always a pleasure to have you.
It's
glad
always
that,
a pleasure to be here.
I know. I'm glad that we reconnected recently, and we were able to get you on tonight. So that was great.
Yeah.
Thank
you very much.
Ray with a Y.
Aha, it is I, Ray with a Y. Hi, how's it going? Thanks for y'all tuning in and dealing with whatever this was. It was wonderful. You can find me at Red Mage Ray on Twitter. I kind of only use Twitter because social media fries my brain. And I'm not even really good at Twitter, so, whatever. You'll usually find me either on screen or behind the scenes at Friends Who Roll Dice, cool TTRPG group that I co-founded with a bunch of awesome people. We raise a whole bunch of money for charity, and spotlight cool people. That's basically what we do. We have a couple of games. We have a paid casting for Once More Into the Void, which closes tomorrow. So, hey, if you want to be involved in that, get your application in. And we also have a couple of charity pride games on the way, 3 off the top of my head. Check the Friends of Roll Dice Twitter because my memory is awful. And you can find me GMing there every Monday with the Mind of the Martyr, which is a D&D game that takes place in a fantasy world that I've collaboratively created with a whole bunch of awesome people. And it's good fun if you like Gaslamp Fantasy. So,
awesome. Sounds great. Well, thank you, Ray, for coming and hanging out. It was a pleasure to see you again. Julian, now we're actually going to go to you.
Yeah, for real this time.
For real.
I'm me. I am Julian. You can find me on Twitter at ESHeroCast, I think is what it says.
That's what it says.
I've changed it like 4 times in the last month. I am the host of my podcast, Everyday Superhero Cast. It is a nerdy wellness and lifestyle podcast where I combine my mix of talking to nerds about things that inspire me and helping people with exercise and mental health issues. It's a weird mix, but I swear it works. I will be going live tomorrow night, I think at 9 p.m. Eastern, with Tom DeCellis, who runs You Had to Be There, another podcast. And we're going to chat for a couple hours, and it will eventually be snipped together with the full podcast episode, probably out Friday. And in July, I will be at Kineticon 2022. From the 15th to the 17th, I will be hosting a panel on the Friday titled Building Positive Habits Through Pop Culture References, or something like that. And bringing Mission Quest, my exercise TTRPG, to the gaming hall for people to try and play for the first time ever.
Awesome. That sounds like
Good
a blast.
luck. Yeah.
I hope it goes well. You'll have to keep us posted on that panel and how well it goes.
If I can, I'm gonna see if it's gonna be recorded and it will be on the podcast the next episode.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Very cool. All right. Ray with an I.
I am Ray with an I. Can't get past that. at Dreamy Ray on Twitter and on Instagram, because that's about as far as I've gotten into the social media world, and I think that's about as far as I'm going to stay. So please don't expect a whole lot of posting, because that would require me to remember that I have it. But you will find me on Discord causing a lot of trouble, and you will also find me in a couple of weeks on Full Round Action Gaming on Twitch on Monday nights doing Shadowrun, which should be really fun, because, you know, if you think it's fun to see me on the spot answering questions, wait till you see me play a role-playing game I've never played before. And also hopefully eventually putting out a 2E podcast, but I don't know when that's going to happen. But look forward to that, because it will happen. Just don't know when. And thank you guys so much. Thank you everyone so much for this conversation and for listening and for, you know, just being awesome.
Thank you. It's great to see you again, and I'm glad things are going so well, and you're staying super busy, so I'm excited to see all the stuff you have coming up. That's awesome.
Super busy.
Awesome. Robbie.
Luna?
Tell us what you are up to these days.
Let's see. I did some yard work today.
Oh, that was good.
I enjoyed some sunshine.
Also good. It was very sunny here too. So.
Yeah. It's supposed to be like 97 this week, so I'm gonna enjoy that. Not. All jokes aside, never jokes aside with me.
Yeah, I do not agree to that.
Yeah. I'm Robbie Weiss. First of all, Luna, thanks for having me on. It's been a pleasure, as it was the first time, and as always. And it was a ton of fun talking to you folks, especially... I don't mean to say especially. That's not where I want to go with that. All of you. I haven't met all of you before. Stag, it's always nice to see you, too. But I am showrunner for the Dungeon Initiative podcast. You can find that on Twitter at podcast_TDI. Even though we're not really recording anything, we would still love to hear, you know, what you think of the show and whatever. Otherwise, you can find me on Twitter at Weiss_Robbie with a Y and not an IE, and that's a thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
And you can find me doing voice acting things, cosplay things, trying to get on other people's streams and stuff, and playing for charity if I can, and just enjoying the community.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for making time in between yard work and enjoying the sunshine to
a lot of it to be done. So
to come and talk nerdy with us, and it's great to see you again. It's been a while since we've gotten.
It has been too long. We need to just like play something.
Yes.
One of these days.
Yeah, we do. I am down with this plan. I am Gamer Mom Luna. This has been Tales from the Tavern. We are here just about every Sunday night at 8 p.m. Eastern Time, talking all things TTRPG with assorted guests every week. Let's see, coming up tomorrow night, you can actually catch me over on the Insight Check channel. We are going to be doing an Oops All Wizards one-shot. Yep, that's going to be fun. I'm definitely, Ray with an I, you will appreciate this. I am definitely not playing a necromancer that is loosely based on cult. And her name is definitely not Culta. So
super excited to hear that.
Yeah. So that will be fun. And coming up in July, the weekend of July 8th through the 10th, that is a Friday through Sunday, we will be doing our second annual Extra Life Charity Stream Weekend Extravaganza. Starting Friday night, we will have a 5e campaign one-shot kicking off the weekend. There will be 3 games on Saturday, also right here on this channel. 2, I think. Nope, we have an Esper Genesis, we have a 5e, and then one that is still TBA. And then on Sunday, we will have Ty Burris, the creator of Aether and Steamworks, will be running an Aether and Steamworks game that afternoon, and we will cap off the weekend with another episode of Tales from the Tavern. So please come check that out at some point if your schedule allows. We are hoping to raise $1,000 for Extra Life. That would be super awesome. David Tilstra's going to be there. Let's see, Lord Richter's going to be there. Let's see, who else is going to be there? We got a lot of people that are going to be there. Star Shinobi's DMing a game. Matt Dungeon Glitch is DMing a game. So definitely come and check that all out. I'm really excited for it. So, yeah, we will see you soon. We are going to go kick off a raid to... let's see, who are we going to go say hi to tonight? I think we will pay a visit to... you know what? Let's go back and see Turtles and Chill again tonight. I like them.
Every time.
Oh, yeah.
Turtles and Chill are my pals. If you are not familiar with Turtles and Chill, they are a 24-hour turtle and fish tank stream. And I'm also part of their team, which I love. Yeah, we've got to go check that out. So we will go over there, and I hope you all have a great week, and we will catch you all next Sunday night. Take care.
I should go.
Thanks for tuning in for another episode of Tales from the Tavern. You can catch this podcast recorded live every Sunday night at 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific at twitch.tv/GamerMomLuna. All of our questions come directly from chat, so we never really know what to expect when we go live. If you ever have a question or would like to add something to the conversation, feel free to reach out on Twitter at GamerMomLuna and use the hashtag TFTT. You may just get to hear it answered. Thanks so much.
I should go.